Hi, I'm Kimberly, a doctorally prepared nurse practitioner, and welcome back to Vlogmas. Here I share my journey to becoming a dermatology nurse practitioner. As you can see by the title, today we're going to be talking about Derm Bootcamp with Dr. Boswell because I recently interviewed him for the Mahogany Dermatology blog. So, when most nurse practitioners decide they want to get into derm, they become really kind of surprised, like myself, that you need experience. When it comes to derm, they don't mean any experience. Unlike primary care and some other specialties, perhaps, I don't know because I haven't studied any other specialty. But it comes as a surprise that even if you have 10 years of nursing, it almost doesn't count. And so in my experience, when it comes to derm, they're looking for 1 to 2 years of experience in derm. And I feel like the derm experience is prioritized over any experience in terms of like nursing. And so for instance, you'll see some places will hire you with 1 year. I feel like the 2 years is more preferred. And where can you get that experience? MA experience is typically listed on there, and then what I like to call derm adjacent jobs, so like wound care. When it comes to like cosmetics, that's kind of a slippery slope one, because if you're looking for a medical derm job, they want you to have medical derm experience. Now if you're looking for a cosmetic job, if you had like a derm job and you didn't do any aesthetics, that's also going to be a bit challenging if you don't have any experience, especially if other people are applying and you have it. And so primarily for this channel, I focus a lot on medical derm. I will get into aesthetics as I also get into aesthetics because this channel is a reflection of my journey. And like I mentioned before, there's not a lot of people making content on medical derm. And so I just wanted to throw my hat in the ring for other people who are interested. I always like to shout out Nurse Ags because as far as I can tell, she creates the most content and she's been the most consistent when it comes to medical derm and sharing her experience. So shout out to her. So we're talking about how can you get a job. And so as far as experience goes, like I said, MA experience is preferred over being a nurse. And so I used to wonder like why or how, because in our experience in training, and if you've had any practice as an MP, then it's typically like primary care. And in those settings, the MA is doing like vitals and blood work, maybe collecting like a urine specimen. And so little things like that. And so I was just kind of really surprised to see how heavily weighted that experience was until I started shadowing in derm. And then I completely understood, because they are doing intake for the patient, they're used to all the terminology, they're helping assist the provider with assessments and procedures, so they're seeing it firsthand. Sometimes they're scribing, and so all of that experience significantly helps in the learning curve compared to someone who has none, or just like whatever you have had at bedside or in primary care, which can be limiting. And so you're thinking as an employer, they want someone who can hit the ground running. And so in addition to being an MA, I feel like PAs also get a little bit more preferential treatment. And that again, you might see on the outside, why we're all the same, but you have to look at our training and our education. And all of our training and education as an MP in school is primary care based, whereas PAs get to go through all the specialties during their rotation. And that also has to do with the history of why PAs were created and their role to support the physician, and why NPs were created, which was to help fill the gap in primary care in the shortage of primary care providers. And it's certainly up for a wonderful debate or conversation on the evolution of MP school and where that education should be going, considering the landscape of healthcare, but also the interests of providers. And so while we don't get it in most programs don't have it as part of the basic curriculum, it's so nice to see that more and more schools are offering postgraduate opportunities, and we'll get into those later on this channel. But considering the number of opportunities that are out there, when it comes to kind of like the dialogue on social media, you only hear about a few of them, and there's quite a lot of them. Now, they all range in terms of like criteria to be considered, as well as the financial investment compared to receiving a stipend, and of course the length of time. And so today we're going to talk about Derm Bootcamp with Dr. Boswell because it comes up so much, and I err on the side of saying it comes up the most compared to other programs that are available. And so, yeah, so MPs who are interested in being in the derm become really shocked that they don't have the experience that's required for that role, even though they might have a lot of experience as a nurse or a nurse practitioner. What is highly valued are your MAs, your PAs, and what I call derm adjacent jobs. And so I feel like wound care has been the most I see. And then I feel like that's kind of it. You have, and like I said, cosmetics starts to get it gets a little fuzzy. I feel like you can transfer from medical derm to cosmetics, but it's hard to, and there are like training programs out there for that. But then I don't feel like it translates the same. If you've done like years of cosmetics and then you want to get into medical derm, I feel like you're pretty much starting from scratch. So that's just my personal experience. I'm always open to having that conversation. You know what I need? Because I saw the other day, my hands. And that's the reality of my hands are always dry because I feel like I'm always washing them or washing dishes or something like that. So anyway, so yeah, so experience. Yeah, okay, so Derm Bootcamp. So Derm Bootcamp, it was started by Dr. Scott Boswell. He is a native of California, and that's where he resides today with his family and where he has his private practice. And so 10 years ago, so I wrote an article. It's on the Mahogany Dermatology blog. You can find all the minor details in there. So I'll just do kind of a rough overview here because I feel like a lot of people, including myself, come to YouTube to find this information. And so, like I mentioned in my video talking about my interview with the Lahey dermatology training program with the director there, I try to think of questions that I have and that I see that are quite popular, but I'll continue to do these interviews, so you're always welcome to send me questions that you have. And so in the article, I talk about how, this started off about 10 years ago, and he had a bunch of rock star MPs working for him, and they had taken some courses that were available at that time. And what he reports and what I still see is that even when you are given a job, while it might be challenging to get a derm job without experience, it is possible that even when people still get hired on, they still recognize the learning curve is so steep that they still seek additional opportunities for either education, mostly education because they're kind of getting the training, and mentorship. Those seem to be the two things that people still are really eager to receive. And so the MPs in his practice, voiced concern that they didn't feel like it was sufficient. And so, God bless him, they all would come in early in the morning, which just the thought of that shows you how passionate and dedicated they were. And I'm pretty sure you and me would jump at an opportunity. If someone's like, yeah, I'll hire you, just make sure you come in, an hour or two early because we're going to do some lectures and presentations, right? Especially if you're already hired and you're getting paid, like what a beautiful opportunity. And so it started off with him teaching his MPs every morning, and then they would also have exams. And so, that's another thing that comes up when you're comparing all the opportunities out here, and questions that I get a lot is, are there exams associated with this program or that one? And, it could be either or how you feel about that. Certainly if you're strapped for time, studying, or you just finished boards, studying for exams might not be of interest to you, whereas some people, and Dr. Boswell feels like it's a standard, it's the only way to kind of test your knowledge. And because I have a lot of competing demands, having an exam kind of helps prioritize something. And it also increases my confidence to know that I know what I think I know, right? At least in that setting in particular. And so he did have exams. And so basically over the course of 10 years, he creates these lectures and presentations and examinations, decided to put them all together. And in mind, he had nurse practitioners, physician associates, and physicians in primary care, because even they don't really get a lot of derm exposure, but yet all of us want to help patients. And so one thing I often talk about is the shortage of dermatologists. And so that shortage gets even smaller when you look at Black and brown dermatologists. According to the latest numbers that I've read, only 3% of dermatologists are Black and only 4% are Hispanic. And so typically the wait for a dermatologist might be anywhere to like 35 days to as high as 75, depending on where you live. So if you live in a densely populated area, you still might have a hard time getting an appointment. I know a friend of ours, they told me they had scheduled an appointment like in September and for their child, and it's not gonna happen until January. And they live in Massachusetts, which is a densely populated area. And the same can be said for people who live in rural areas where there's just a lack of providers in general, because rural health is not always as attractive or sexy as places like Miami, LA, New York, even DC or Boston, right? And so what we know about even Alaska, I know Alaska was paying so nicely during the pandemic. And so it can be really hard to get people there. That's why I really love telehealth and telemedicine, because it helps to meet the need of the patients, and it can still be an attractive option for clinicians who don't necessarily want to live in rural America. I happen to be a fan of those areas, and especially because I did grow up in like the DMV area and dealing with traffic. When I live in those places, I love it. Love it, absolutely love it. When I lived in Memphis, it took 20 minutes to get everywhere. Okay, that's the kind of life I want. That's the kind of lifestyle I prefer. So he created all these lectures and the examinations, put them together to create what we know today as Derm Bootcamp. And so in 2020, during the pandemic, there was a local high school videographer who helped him. They would meet every Friday and Saturday, put these together, and now they're available at any time, at your own leisure. You have access to the material for 6 months. And so you can purchase the full package. You can also do a monthly plan, but as you'll see in the article, that's one of the more least popular options, primarily because it limits how much time you have to learn. But it also can be helpful for people who've taken the course, and I know some people who have taken the course and plan to, take it again, and they just might need a touch up or a refresher. People who have taken the course report that it increased their confidence and helped them get a job even before completing the course, because it's really the only program that I know designed for nurse practitioners and PAs by a dermatologist. So yeah, people in confidence, they've gotten jobs. People have used it to study for the dermatology nurse practitioner certification exam. And then he said that even experienced clinicians with years of experience, decades, who have taken his course, said that it offered so much clarity on, different diagnoses and diseases that they just didn't really think of until they took his course or think of it in that way. And so he was super he's he's busy. He runs a practice. He has employees. And yet he still took the time to sit and talk to me for this interview, because he knows it's going to be shared with everyone. And so that just really goes to show you how passionate he is about education. And that was so clear during the interview. Such a nice guy. And as I mentioned in the article, and I expressed to him, while I have fallen in love with dermatology, I love dermatology. There's just so many different directions you can go. Not only in the specialties and the subspecialties, but also just you could just maybe just love, surgery or Mohs or alopecia or cosmetics. You could even just focus on one area. You could focus on, pigmentary disorders. You could, and then still have such a rich practice, because there's so many areas that have little nuances, and really when you're a specialist, you can really devote time and attention to improving your diagnostic accuracy with that, and also treatment and management of those patients and seeing the different ways that it presents. And so you could say that probably about a number of specialties, but like I said, besides primary care, I haven't really explored anything else. And so since I did mention alopecia, I mentioned some of the derm adjacent jobs. So when I interviewed for jobs over the summer, I did the gamut. I only applied to derm or derm adjacent jobs. So private practices, I don't think any big practices. I'm on the list for one of them because they only hire certain times of the year. Wound care, cosmetics, And then, oh, one place that only did hair transplants. And so with that job, like that would be all you did. You pretty much would be the only provider there. And yeah, so lots of options out there. There's even mobile practices, travel opportunities, and lots of flexibility in the schedule. So I would say don't give up. Definitely you have to network. Derm is a very small community, and you don't want to burn any bridges with anyone, but also to really find out, you know, what's the latest and the most efficient way or most recommended way to get in, and also to improve your skill set and your knowledge base is to just, you know, network with people who have been doing it. People who are kind of fresh in the game and who can see, like, have a fresh eye, and also people who have been doing this for decades and can really give you a wealth of knowledge based on what they've seen in practice. So yeah, and so in the interview we do a little bit of background on Dr. Boswell. We go over the course, what to expect, how you can get in touch with him, and his thoughts on the future of dermatology. So the format of the questions I use for everyone, and this way it kind of gives like a good way to compare all the different programs. And like I said, I'm just so grateful for his time and attention because he's super busy, and I can definitely respect that. And so I'll put the link in the description box and you can check it out there. Before we go, I want to do that first, so anyone who's here just for that, they can go. But this is Vlogmas, and so I do share a little bit. I don't really have any updates on the camera today, but I became a huge fan. You know, I did my last contract in Colorado. I love Colorado, so I fell in love with Arizona, but I always, growing up, I don't know if everyone has like a place on their, like a list of places like they really want to live, but for me it was always Colorado. And so once I was a traveler, I would always look for opportunities, but honestly, the money wasn't good. Or also I heard that they didn't like to use the agencies a lot. They had like kind of their internal ones. Someone did tell me that in the very, very beginning. And I think I ended up working for that hospital. I kind of forgot about that. But right towards the end, saw a contract that I liked, and so I went out there. And I'm so glad I did, because like I said, it was a place I really wanted to live. And there's just so many things to do outside, and that's right up my alley. And so I absolutely loved it. And my parents came out there, they got to really experience it, a place they never even thought of. It's just like Memphis. They never thought of going to Memphis until I went there, and it's one of our favorite places. And so now, you know, obviously Colorado has a really special place in our heart. And so after I left, you know, Deion Sanders took over the team in Boulder, and then me and I was at home, like applying for jobs over the summer, and kind of talking about the team and Deion Sanders, and then it being based in Colorado, and all the people now being drawn to Colorado because of him. We really bonded over football, and I learned a lot about football that I didn't know. And so I definitely got on the bandwagon, and I bought his glasses. And so I purchased these in September, and the wait was super long because these just came like 2 weeks ago. And actually they got shipped to my parents' house because, like I was still living there when I purchased them. And so I purchased 2 of them. They weren't even that expensive. I want to say at the time they were like $69 or something. $69. But yeah, so that's the packaging. Oh, and you know, I did learn how to do, I did learn that there's like a, so I guess I do have an update for the camera. There's like a product, that's the puppy. There's a product feature on here. So like when you want to display, talk about products, it kind of changes the way the camera focuses. But I notice I can't do it now that it's recording. So I have to figure that out later. So yeah, there's the packaging. Let's do this because you can kind of see the case inside. And it says Prime. So come here. And you gotta believe. So yeah, I tried to get my dad to go to a game too, but he didn't want to. He kind of has some mobility issues, and so it can be a little bit limiting. Although I gave him lots of options to still do it. Okay, so yeah, so when you open it, it looks like this. And a little sticker. I know a lot of companies send those on. I guess people put them on their laptop and other things like that. And so got a little case. And ooh, these are nice. These are really nice. Okay. I don't know if you can even tell the quality on these. But they're made by a company called Blenders. Oh, there's his signature on the inside. You'll never see that, but you'll have to believe me. And it says, we comin' right here. And then it says Prime again. But on the front, there's the little, I think that's the blender symbol right here. And then it says Prime. But it's black just like the lens. So if you're not into flash, then, you know, you might be okay. Ooh, oh my gosh. When I put these on, the little side screen, it went like completely black. So I thought the camera went off. But yeah, these are nice. I can't even see myself, so I don't know what I look like. I'll have to wait till I watch this. And then I'll show you the other ones and I'll let you go. And I'll be back tomorrow. I did finally order the media console. It might take as long as January 2nd or something to get here. Of course, Vlogmas will be over by then. Same case. And I think these are, oh yeah. Now this, if you're not into flash, this is not gonna be your style. But they look so good on him. And actually, you know what? These are actually kind of perfect now. These are gonna be a Christmas gift. And I love the black and gold. Look at that. Ah! I mean, you'll have to look because I still can't, I can't really see myself. Yeah, those are nice. And the thing is, I'm not usually into the polarized lens, but I think over the summer I kind of got into them. And so, wow, those are really nice. That's all I have for now. There was something, oh, you know what? Tomorrow I might talk to you all about NurseCon. Well, don't hold me to it. I might think of something else, but that is something I want to discuss before Vlogmas is over. So thank you so much for watching. I'll see you tomorrow. Let me know if you have any questions. Certainly you can leave them in the comment section, or you can send me an email and check me out on the blog.